Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel. Amazing. Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
It's a scare on an airplane as a backpack belonging to a former American Idol contestant went up in flames. Fortunately, the plane was still on the ground when it happened. Less Tran on what the airline says was in the bag that caused the problems.
Oh my God.
Fire drama on a plane.
I still see smoke.
Flight attendants pour bottles of water on a backpack after it exploded in a ball of fire. Turns out the backpack belongs to former American Idol contestant Jimmy Levy. I spoke to him today.
What are you thinking when you feel, first you feel it, then you look down and see your bag on fire?
I was in shock, and then all the flight attendants came and started pouring water on it.
It happened on a JetBlue flight from New York to Fort Lauderdale just before takeoff. JetBlue blames a customer's malfunctioning electronic device or battery.
And there's good news today for anyone flying from the USA to Europe. Planes are arriving way ahead of schedule. That's because the jet stream above the Atlantic is so strong, planes heading east are traveling nearly 150 miles per hour faster than they normally do.
Flights from New York to London have been arriving as much as an hour early. WCBS New York meteorologist John Elliott.
This time of year, the jet stream usually migrates a little south, and that's why flights, these transatlantic flights, can pick it up, and then they just ride along it. It just pushes them. It can juice their speeds by 100, maybe 150 miles an hour. Coming back, remember, you're fighting it, so the flights will actually go way to the north to avoid the jet stream.
She's the woman dubbed Crazy Plane Lady after that epic plane meltdown seen round the world. Now, in this Inside Edition exclusive, Tiffany Gomez is opening up about her freak out on the plane.
It was the worst moment of my entire life.
In the infamous viral video that has more than 450 million views, Gomez storms to the front of the plane just moments before takeoff.
I stayed at home for over 4 weeks because I was so ashamed and so embarrassed, like I didn't want to go in public.
Now, for the first time, Gomez is explaining what happened on board the American Airlines flight from Dallas to Orlando. She says she was heading out to a family vacation when she just lost it.
What do you want to say to the people out there who are like, okay, this girl was drunk, this girl was on something?
I had an altercation and I felt very strongly that I needed to get off the plane.
According to the police report, Gomez was arguing with a fellow passenger, accusing them of stealing her AirPods. The 39-year-old demanded the plane return to the gate, and it did. With her $1,900 designer handbag slung over her shoulder, she let loose.
What did you really mean by that?
It was a figure of speech, like he's not being real.
Like when you say, this person's fake or this person's not real. He's not, quote unquote, keeping it real. You weren't saying that this person is not a real person.
Yes.
Why did you think the people were in danger on the flight?
Just due to the altercation. I don't want to go into too much detail for legal reasons.
Despite the worldwide attention she's received, Gomez says she's focusing on her marketing and real estate ventures. She gave me a tour of her stylish Dallas home.
This is where I spend most of my time.
Oh my gosh. You have like your own movie theater here.
It's pretty much that. I'm actually a big homebody, funny enough. I love to travel. Luckily, I still can.
Just not on American.
Just not on American.
Yep, American Airlines has banned her.
They were strangers in the night. 13 passengers who banded together after their flight was canceled and embarked on a road trip right out of a holiday movie.
All because of a community they got together.
They were all booked on a Frontier Airlines flight from Orlando to Knoxville that was canceled at the last minute due to mechanical issues. The next available flight, not till 48 hours later. So Amy Saad tapped into her experience as a Marine and took charge.
We're gonna do cars, trucks, planes, and automobiles. We're gonna get ourselves where we gotta go tonight.
13 said yes because they had important business in Knoxville.
I'm the keynote speaker in Knoxville on Tuesday, so we're going to go and I'm going to make my speech.
We're trying to visit the University of Tennessee.
So they rented a van.
Big shout out to Hertz for helping us out. Go Hertz!
And hit the road. Destination, Knoxville, 650 miles away.
Instead of memorizing 13 names, each was assigned a number to make sure no one would accidentally be left behind at a rest stop.
I'm number 1, I'm the driver.
I'm number 2.
I'm number 5.
What about snacks? Who was in charge of snacks?
It was an exhausting journey through the night.
We're 3 hours into our impromptu road trip.
I'm really tired. I kind of wish I was in my bed, but...
Elena's story shared the epic road trip on social media, and they all watched in real time as the videos went viral.
It's 8:30 in the morning, and we just made it to Knoxville.
They finally made it to Knoxville in time for Michaela Puckering to make her interview at the University of Tennessee.
There were like students just like waving like, oh, you're that one girl from that TikTok.
Now these strangers in the night are strangers no more. In fact, they're already planning a reunion.
I love you and stay in touch, please.
A child went to the airport and took an unexpected trip when he climbed onto a baggage conveyor belt and got carried away. It happened at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. Authorities say the 2-year-old slipped away from his mother as she was trying to print their boarding passes. He was then able to slip by the Spirit Airlines ticket counter through an unmanned section. As soon as the mother noticed her child was missing, she alerted a Spirit staff member. The airport surveillance cameras captured the toddler's entire journey. After he swept out of sight of the first camera, employees checked to see if he was still within their reach. But it was too late. The next camera shows him trying to crawl away before he goes through a scanning machine, climbing over luggage that followed him. It didn't work. Employees in the bag room were shocked to see the boy come through on the belt, and they rushed to help him, calling for an ambulance after they noticed his hand was swollen. Authorities say the child is going to be all right. The TSA and the airline are investigating the incident, so stowaways don't try to follow his path.
A 6-year-old flying solo to visit his grandmother was mistakenly put on the wrong flight.
My stomach was tight, my heart was pounding.
The boy's grandmother, Maria Ramos, says he was supposed to fly from Philadelphia to Fort Myers for Christmas, but when she went to pick him up at the gate, he wasn't there, telling Wink News.
So I ran inside the plane to the flight attendant and I asked her, where's my grandson? He was handed over to you at Philadelphia. She said, no, I had no kids with me.
The boy traveling on Spirit Airlines was accidentally sent to Orlando.
He said, Mom, where are you? I don't see you. I got out the plane. I said, what you mean you got out the plane? He said, yes, I'm here. I land, I'm in the airport. I said, give me an adult. He said, I don't have nobody with me.
If this storyline reminds you of an iconic Christmas movie, you wouldn't be wrong.
Kevin!
In a statement, Spirit Airlines said the child was always under the care and supervision of a Spirit team member, and as soon as we discovered the error, we took immediate steps to communicate with the family and reconnect them. We apologize to the family for this experience. Maria says the airline, which put her grandson's bag on the right flight, offered to reimburse her for the drive to pick him up, but that isn't enough for her.
I want them to call me and let me know how my grandson ended up in Orlando. How did that happen? Did they get him out the plane? Did the flight attendant, after mom handled him with paperwork, did she let him go by himself and he jumped in the wrong plane by himself?
Spirit Airlines says it's investigating.
An airline passenger stuck in the middle seat resorts to fat-shaming her seatmates.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to do this the next 4 hours.
It happened just before takeoff on a United Airlines flight from Las Vegas to Newark, New Jersey. Norma Rogers, an oncology nurse who once appeared on the Dr. Oz show for a nurse's appreciation episode, was seated next to the fat shamer. The nurse's travel companion was in the aisle seat.
I'm stuck, but at least they'll keep you warm. Okay?
It didn't end there.
I can't breathe, I'm so squished.
Rogers flagged down a flight attendant.
Excuse me, can you find her another seat? Because I will not be verbally abused by this or anybody else.
I can't sit here because this boat's so big on left and right. I can't even sit here.
The flight attendant offered the fat shamer a new seat.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Because I can't sit like this.
As the woman gets up, she delivers one more insult.
I eat salad.
That did it.
Kiss my fat, okay?
Other passengers were outraged.
Why don't you sit in between those two big things?
That passenger turns out to be Jonathan Fernandez, star of the VH1 reality show Love and Hip Hop New York.
After she got up, you said something to her.
Of course. I mean, at that point, I was appalled and I felt angry because I'm like, you know what? There's so many ways of going about this. And I just hate that nobody was kind of saying anything, so I couldn't hold it. And I'm like, you're disgusting. You're disgusting.
Travel expert Laura Begley Bloom.
The best thing to do in a situation like this is to ask the flight attendant if there's another seat on the plane.
I will not be verbally abused by this or anybody else.
United Airlines said flight attendants acted quickly to find a different seat for the passenger, but when it became clear that her behavior was likely to be problematic, she was put on a different flight the next.
Carlos, get this on you. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything. I'm going to you.
She was walking on the plane. She was swearing. I don't know if it was playful or not, but at first, when she walked on, it was kind of like, oh, this person, maybe she had a few drinks, you know. But then after a little while, it was like, okay, this is kind of strange. You know, you should tone it down a little bit. There's families on the plane and everything. They ushered a lot of people up into the front of the plane, kind of where I was sitting, like 5 rows up from where the woman was sitting, and had them stand over there. There was a few open seats, so some people sat down. But people just really overall just didn't really know what was going on, and they were just very confused. And I mean, personally, I was just really confused what was going on.
You know what? You're harassing me. You're bigot. You're racist. Bigot. All of you racist.
She was calling them bigots and saying that they were racist. And originally she wouldn't get out of her seat. She was saying, I'm not moving. I know my rights. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. And then that's when, you know, the police were like, you need to get up.
I did nothing wrong. Bigot.
The younger passengers were definitely afraid. I mean, you could see at the end of the video, this girl was, you know, holding her head like that. But I think everyone was really relieved when she was gone. So that was the main concern was, is this woman going to be on our entire flight? But once she was off, I think everyone was really at ease. When it was happening, since we were on the ground still, I don't think people were too worried because they knew that there was these 2 men who were telling her she had to leave. There was a stewardess talking to her, then the police showed up. It was a little scary at first, but then once it was all said and done, I think everyone felt really safe after that.
A pregnant woman was traveling with her 2 young children when they made a mess with popcorn on the floor of the cabin. So whose job is it to clean it up? Here's Jim Murray.
Food fight over this spilled popcorn on an airplane. Country music star Jessie James Decker is blasting United Airlines, saying her sister was humiliated after her 2-year-old daughter accidentally spilled popcorn. She says the flight attendant actually gave her a trash bag and a wet wipe and declared the captain wants her to clean up every drop. Decker's sister is Sydney Ray Bass. She's 5 months pregnant with what she calls a high-risk pregnancy. The country star posted, "My poor sister is on her hands and knees crying in the aisle while everyone else watched." She says the flight attendant called the spilled popcorn a safety hazard. The 2 sisters are very close, appearing together on the country star's reality show for Sydney's first baby reveal. Sydney Ray Bass is married to Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Anthony Bass, and he's also fuming. United just made my 22-week pregnant wife get on her hands and knees to pick up the popcorn mess by my youngest daughter. Are you kidding me?
I'm at the film set Air Hollywood in Los Angeles. You can see how eating popcorn on a plane can get messy. Small pieces easily drop to the floor, especially where young children are involved. Now the great debate. Should airline passengers be told to clean up their own mess.
I think it's reasonable to hold our clients and our guests, especially aboard a commercial aircraft, to some standard of responsibility of your kids' behavior and the messes they make. But she's pregnant, so I think the most accommodating thing would be to say, may I help you, or allow me to help you clean this up.
We contacted United for comment, but did not hear back.
Uh-oh, did someone break into a parked car? Never mind someone, it was two bears, and boy did they go wild. Just look at the damage left behind. The inside is destroyed. A second cub, appearing to be in distress, ran around outside the car. Animal experts believe the bear got inside using the door, but are still uncertain about how they were able to shut the door closed behind them.
The flight attendant at the center of a nasty confrontation is under suspension today by American Airlines. It happened on a flight from San Francisco to Dallas. We have seen the video, the airline says. The flight attendant has been removed from duty while we immediately investigate this incident. But the flight attendants' union is expressing some degree of support for the man. We don't know all of the facts related to a passenger who became distraught while boarding a plane, and therefore neither the company nor the public should rush to judgment. The video is shocking. You see the woman, reportedly a citizen of Argentina, sobbing as she holds her baby. According to fellow passengers, she was struck in the face after the flight attendant forcibly took her baby stroller and almost hit the baby by accident.
You can't use violence with baby. Just give me back my stroller, please.
You see one passenger appalled at what she saw. As the tears flow, you hear another passenger intervene.
Hey, sir, what's the guy's name that did that with the stroller?
Things escalate dramatically.
Hey, bud, you do that to me and I'll knock you flat.
Stay out of this. Come on, Johnny.
You get the hell up. Get the hell up. Come on. You try that with a man, I'll knock you out. Well, I'll knock you silly.
Another flight attendant tries to calm everyone down, but the tension flares up again.
You keep looking at me and shove me. That's what you did that lady.
Keep it quiet.
In the statement, American Airlines says, what we see on this video does not reflect our values or how we care for our customers. We are deeply sorry for the pain we have caused this passenger and her family and to any other customers affected by the incident. The latest controversy comes just 2 weeks after that stunning confrontation on a United Airlines flight where a passenger was dragged off the plane after he refused to give up his seat. Now a mother in tears is at the center of another drama.
We've all been there, trapped on a plane with a crying baby. Most of us put on headphones and hope the baby just falls asleep. But on this Southwest flight, one passenger had a total meltdown, unleashing an expletive tirade while the passenger filming it can't believe his ears. Amber Cogliano has details.
I'm not screaming. You want me to scream?
That's the sound of a baby crying on a plane and a grown man acting like an even bigger baby. The angry passenger yells, trying to quiet the baby.
Can you lower that voice?
While flight attendants tell him to calm down. But his rant grows more explosive.
No. Let's be rational. We are in a tin can with a baby in a echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being okay?
The tirade is unfolding on a Southwest flight from Baltimore to Orlando. Passengers say the man started screaming obscenities after the baby had been crying for about 35 minutes.
Flight attendants try to reason with the passenger.
You're yelling. So is the baby. Okay, so you're a man. Did that pay extra?
Other passengers chime in, but it just gets worse. Mark Grabowski recorded the video.
Could you believe how this was unfolding as you were watching it?
No. Initially, myself and a few of the passengers tried to calm the man down. He just kind of doubled down and kept at it.
It doesn't seem like yelling would quiet a crying baby.
Yeah, it's pretty counterintuitive, right? Now we got 2 crying people on the flight.
The woman traveling with the angry passenger looks mortified. He's still yelling, even as passengers deplane.
This is a commercial aircraft. This gentleman is not chartering a private jet where he has the aircraft to himself and he can deem what environment he wants on board. And most certainly, if you don't want to hear any noise or perhaps a disgruntled baby, by all means, there are noise canceling headphones.
Cops greet the man at the airport and later he walks away with them, showing it doesn't pay to have a tantrum over a fussy baby.
So is the baby!
The man did not end up getting arrested. Southwest praised the crew for their professionalism in such a challenging situation and apologized to the other passengers for experiencing such unacceptable behavior.
Baby on board, but these flights didn't start that way. India's Jet Airways celebrated the first birth on one of their planes by awarding the baby with free flights for life. The expecting mother was traveling from Saudi Arabia to India when she went into premature labor. A trained nurse was on board and helped deliver the baby along with the crew. Jet Airways announced the gift with a post to social media, jokingly coming from the baby, thanking the airline for a lifetime of free travel. The baby joins a growing club of children born mid-flight. A woman went into labor on another airline traveling from Dubai to the Philippines 2 months before her due date. 5 hours into the flight, nurses rushed to the passenger's side to deliver her baby. It's unclear if the baby got the same free flight deal, but she did get clothes. Another woman on board gave the new mom baby clothes right after it happened. Turkish Airlines applauded its crew after they helped deliver a baby girl mid-air. The surprise birth happened on a domestic trip in Africa. It's reported both the unexpected passenger and her mom were in good health and taken to the hospital after landing. Talk about in-flight entertainment.
She was flying to her bachelorette party when a flight attendant asked passengers to write her marriage advice on napkins.
This bride-to-be is about to get a special surprise as she flies to her bachelorette party.
We have a young lady who is a bride-to-be.
Then the Southwest flight attendant asked the passengers to give their best marital advice and write it down on napkins.
Every lady on the plane that is married or has been married, I'm going to walk up and down the aisle and I'm going to give out a napkin.
And boy, did they have advice. Just look, it's like a book. Always find space for each other and have each other's backs, but remember to leave room for yourself too, goes this one. Love the man you marry. He's not going to change, writes another passenger. Bride-to-be 27-year-old Bree Kunkel read the napkin message that touched her the most.
It's a choice, not an emotion to love every day. Choose to love him, forgive when needed, and choose to grow old together.
Bree says she's grateful to the flight attendant and all those pearls of wisdom.
What was going through your mind? Well, first of all, I was bawling. I was crying on the plane. It was a very heartwarming moment, for sure.
It's a passenger revolt as total chaos erupts at the airport. Police were called in to sort out turbulent scenes involving furious passengers at the Spirit Airlines terminal in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Here's that ugly moment from another angle. This passenger was taken away in handcuffs as things around him got heated. This woman was hustled away by officers. Another passenger was pinned to the ground by 3 cops. The trouble exploded after Spirit canceled 9 flights, including one to LaGuardia.
Somebody was like slamming their hand down on a counter and the police came.
Very angry people. Everybody had places to be and couldn't be there.
Check out this crazy scene. After order was restored, deputies line up behind the check-in counters just in case. Spirit is blaming a work slowdown by its pilots union for the flight cancellations. We are shocked and saddened to see the videos, the airline says. This is a result of unlawful labor activity by some Spirit pilots designed to disrupt Spirit operations for our customers. But the Pilots Association says its members are not engaged in a job action. It's just the latest craziness involving airline personnel and passengers. Only now, the tension has come to the terminal.
Passengers on board a flight about to take off from Atlanta got quite the surprise when a group of college students began singing a hymn at the request of one of the flight attendants after she noticed their matching choir t-shirts.
Take joy, my King, in what you hear.
Students from the Lee University campus choir were traveling to Tortola in the British Virgin Islands on a ministry mission where they performed and did service projects to help local communities in the area. The students who go to school in Cleveland, Tennessee are a traveling ensemble who minister throughout the United States. These passengers got the delight of a live performance, but it would have been even better if they could have sang the safety instructions.
Hey, this is one flight you don't want to be on. The passenger is out of control as cops struggle to subdue him. The mid-air meltdown forced the flight from Minneapolis to Los Angeles to turn around just 20 minutes after takeoff.
2565, we do have the authorities called. They should be at the gate when you get there.
Thank you.
According to reports, the drama started when the passenger's girlfriend tried to use the bathroom just after takeoff. That's a big no-no. A flight attendant asked her to sit down, and that's when the couple allegedly lost it. When police boarded the aircraft, they took the two unruly passengers into custody. And as they did, fellow passengers actually began cheering. That's when the boyfriend, identified as a vice president at Citibank, apparently threw a punch at another passenger. Cops take him down. Patrick Whalen shot the video.
As they were being escorted off the plane, the male passenger was getting yelled at, and both of them were by passengers that were upset, and he took a swing at one. And that's why in the video you see them standing and then all of a sudden they go to the ground. He had actually punched a passenger at that point.
Listen to what happened as the suspects were let off the plane.
You're already going to jail.
Hey, you're famous.
Why? For what?
They were charged with disorderly conduct.
Hey!
This little girl dressed as a donut just walked down the aisle of the plane trick-or-treating. It was so sweet.
Stephanie Kahn is calling that little girl's father Dad of the Year after the treat he planned for her aboard a Virgin America flight on Halloween. He was traveling from Boston to San Francisco with his 3-year-old daughter named Molly and promised her she could trick or treat. So he passed around this note to the passengers with some candy, asking strangers to drop the treats in her basket.
As soon as I read the note, I started tearing up because I thought it was the cutest thing in the world.
Stephanie was sitting right in front of the family.
I have a 6-month-old daughter at home, so it pulled at the heartstrings extra hard.
A creative way to celebrate the holiday 35,000 feet in the air.
The argument started on board a plane
Stop, please.
and then got really heated after it spilled into the terminal. At the center of it all, this service dog, a Great Dane. The drama began on board the Frontier Airlines flight from Colorado Springs to Orlando. As everyone waited to get off, this deaf passenger accused another passenger of punching his service dog. His fiancée, who is 5 months pregnant, is also deaf. The tension continued on the jetway as the passengers disembarked. A Frontier Airlines gate agent intervened.
Would you cut it out, sir? Would you stop it?
He's blocking the way.
The deaf couple appeared to be blocking the exit from the jetway. Then the passengers were allowed into the terminal, and that's when all hell broke loose. The guy with the backpack is the passenger who allegedly hit the Great Dane on the plane. Now both sides are speaking out to Inside Edition.
He jumped me.
Tim Manley says he never punched the dog. He says he was concerned the Great Dane might have aggravated his wife's allergies.
The dog came over to me and I pushed it away.
Okay, I swatted it away from me. I wanted to make the dog very sure that I didn't want it in our space.
Manley says he's a dog lover and regrets being rough with the animal.
I did, actually, I already did apologize to them, but it wasn't accepted.
But the deaf passenger, Matthew Silve, says Manley punched the dog as well as his fiancée. We spoke to the couple with a sign language interpreter. Matthew, can you tell me what this passenger on the plane did to your dog?
I looked back and I felt this bang, and I looked down and he had his hand with a fist, and my dog was looking up, and he had just punched my dog.
Matt's fiancée, Hazel Ramirez, tells me how she allegedly got hit.
I was standing right by where the gate is, where you come in, and I was walking, and his hand punched me right in the stomach, touched me right in the stomach, and I fell back.
Matthew, people looking at that video would say that you were the aggressor here.
No, I think I was just upset. I was upset. And I was upset about my dog. I felt like it was disrespectful to my dog, and I was standing up for my dog.
The passenger also denies punching the pregnant woman during the incident, which is now being investigated by the FBI.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel. Amazing. Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
These passengers found themselves in an emergency as their plane headed to Europe had to be diverted due to contaminated food. The Delta airplane took off from Detroit and was headed to Amsterdam when it was forced to turn around and land at JFK. The case of mid-air food poisoning is being blamed on an in-flight meal service that Delta Airline says was spoiled. The passengers were offered a choice of a pasta or chicken meal. Those who chose chicken were stricken because it was reportedly contaminated with black mold. The pilots reported the food poisoning emergency.
Howard, can you confirm the status of medical personnel at our gate?
They have been contacted multiple times.
Is anyone showing any physical symptoms? Is it just a few passengers that are feeling ill, or all 70?
This couple was on the flight to see Taylor Swift, who's performing in Amsterdam this week. Ted Hammersmeyer says he ate the chicken. His wife brought her own meal.
It looked really questionable, but I was pretty hungry, and it definitely wasn't good, and it had a weird odor.
These Swifties were also on the flight, but luckily avoided the chicken meal.
There was multiple cases of food poisoning due to black mold on chicken.
Kelsey DeJong was also on the flight and is now stuck at JFK.
One girl said that she did eat the chicken and she didn't finish it because it tasted really, really sour.
It's reminding many of this food poisoning scene from the movie Airplane.
Every passenger on this plane will have fish for dinner. Will become violently ill in the next half hour.
But this was not funny, not at all.
Moldy chicken was definitely not on the radar for this trip.
Delta says the sick passengers were checked out by emergency crews but refused to be transported to the hospital.
I don't understand why I have to get off this plane. What did I mean, I had to use the restroom.
Another airline is under fire, this time for throwing a passenger off a flight because he used the bathroom.
I'm not really clear on why I'm being asked to leave this plane. I purchased this ticket, I had an emergency, I had to pee.
Now the passenger, Kima Hamilton, an art teacher from Milwaukee, is speaking out to Inside Edition. How badly did you need to use the restroom?
It was an emergency, and I was very clear about communicating that throughout the entire time.
It happened on a Delta flight from Atlanta to Milwaukee that was delayed for 30 minutes on the tarmac. When the passenger asked a flight attendant if he could use the bathroom, she said no. But finally, he couldn't hold it anymore and made a quick dash to the restroom to relieve himself. When he got back to his seat, the pilot announced that the flight was returning to the gate. Hamilton was then told to get off the plane. The cell phone video was shot by fellow passenger Krista Rosalino.
He was very calm, respectful, polite, and simply wanted to have a conversation with them about what he experienced and why he had to use the restroom.
When Hamilton wouldn't budge, another Delta staffer tried to explain he was being kicked off the plane for using the bathroom.
So basically, anytime we're going to take off, for your safety and everyone's safety, we need you to see that. That's the bottom line.
I was very intentional about being non-threatening and pleading to use the restroom. And in all of that, I was still, a phone call went in that there was a threat that had to be removed from the plane.
I spoke to Forbes magazine travel editor Laura Begley Bloom.
He broke the law. The FAA actually says that when the seatbelt sign is on, it is illegal to get out of your seat and walk around the plane. Even if you really have to go, you can't do it.
It's just the latest black eye for the airline industry, following that passenger being dragged off a United Airlines flight and that ugly confrontation on board an American Airlines flight.
Hey, bud, you do that to me and I'll knock you flat. Stay out of this. Come on, bring it on.
In this latest incident, Delta Airlines says in a statement, it is imperative that passengers comply with crew instructions during all phases of flight, especially at the critical points of takeoff and landing.
I really had to use the restroom. It was an emergency.
I don't understand why I have to get off of this plane.
It looks like a mid-air disaster about to happen, and it was caught on a police dash camera. A Delta plane taking off from Syracuse, New York, came scarily close to an American Eagle jet that took off first. They came between 700 and 1,000 feet from each other. The Delta pilot couldn't believe it.
Wait, who's cleared to take off on 2-8?
The local cop also can't believe what she's seeing in the sky above her. The FAA is investigating. The American Eagle flight took off at 11:40 a.m. The Delta flight en route to Washington, D.C. took off 3 minutes later at 11:43 a.m. And check this out. It's a tire careening down the runway. The tire just fell from a United Boeing 757 that had taken off from LAX.
United 1001, we were just told a tire came off your aircraft.
A pilot from another plane confirmed it.
The tire came off and came rolling past us.
There were 174 passengers on the plane. When it was time to land in Denver, flight attendants told everyone on board to brace for landing.
They're screaming, brace, 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 and that continued for probably 2 solid minutes.
There were no injuries reported, and the FAA is investigating.
Watch as this disgruntled airline passenger opens the emergency exit and takes a seat on the wing. Don't worry, the plane was parked on the runway. It happened on New Year's Day in Spain on Ryanair flight. The passenger, reportedly a Polish citizen, apparently had enough of airline delays, so he took matters into his own hands. We've all been there, but this wasn't the smartest move. The man was later arrested by police.
No one should be treated that way, period.
United Airlines CEO is speaking out about the disturbing video showing a passenger being dragged off a plane. 69-year-old Dr. David Dow is now world famous as the passenger yanked off the overbooked United flight. He's a lung specialist from Kentucky. The United CEO, Oscar Munoz, had first described Dow as disruptive and belligerent. But he changed his tune on Good Morning America and issued a full-fledged apology.
Do you think he's at fault in any way?
No, he can't be. He was a paying passenger sitting on our seat in our aircraft.
And new video has emerged of Dr. Dow in the moments before the altercation. He's apparently on the phone with the airline pleading his case.
I'm physician, have to work tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Then he makes it clear he's not giving up his seat.
No, I'm not going. I am not going.
One of the officers tells him they'll use force if needed.
They try to use the force. Might make a lawsuit against United Airlines.
Then an officer threatens him with jail.
Really go to jail? Just get it done. I'm not going. I'm staying right there.
That's when all hell broke loose. United CEO is promising this scene will never be repeated again.
To remove a booked, paid seating passenger We can't do that.
Munoz said he's reached out to Dr. Dow to apologize, but has not yet spoken to him personally. Crisis management expert Richard Levick.
What should they have done?
They need to view this as if this were a crash and you were going to see the survivors. You need to treat them the same way with that kind of care, not blame them.
United's share price plummeted Tuesday.
An airline is a brand. So if you screw up that brand with a debacle like this one, you're gonna take a hit financially.
Dr. Dow, who remains hospitalized in Chicago, told a local television station that he hurts all over. His family issued a statement saying, "The family of Dr. Dow wants the world to know that they are very appreciative of the outpouring of prayers, concern, and support they have received." Jimmy Kimmel's audience sounded like villagers with pitchforks.
What a week for United Airlines. Oh, did they do something wrong?
Oh my God!
This family physician is outraged. She says she was booted off a flight because she wore a romper. Dr. Tisha Rowe was wearing this romper when an American Airlines flight attendant asked to speak with her.
What did the flight attendant say to you?
She asked me repeatedly, "Do you have a jacket? Do you have a jacket?" It was not until I confirmed several times that I did not have a jacket that she finally said, "You are not boarding the plane dressed like that."
Dr. Rowe was flying from Jamaica to Miami. She'd been on vacation with her 8-year-old son. She says after being escorted off the plane, the flight attendant told her she wouldn't be able to reboard unless she covered up.
I said, "Look, if I can't get on, give me something to cover up." And I requested a blanket. And at that point, the response was, "Yeah, because that's the only way you're getting on."
Dr. Rose says her son Chase was traumatized by the incident.
He was very upset when we got to our seat. He took the blanket that they wrapped me in, or allowed me to wrap myself in, and put it over his head.
Her Instagram post is drawing fierce reaction. How else should one dress from Kingston to Miami? Sweats, jeans, turtleneck, 3-piece suit, floor-length skirt? You policed her curves. Shame on you, goes this comment. In a statement, American Airlines says, "We want to personally apologize to Dr. Rowe and her son for their experience and have fully refunded their travel."
Assault flight attendants, go to prison. That's the message being sent by a Florida judge after sentencing Maxwell Berry to 60 days behind bars. No! Video of Maxwell Berry howling while duct taped to an airline seat went viral in August of 2021. He was on a Frontier Airlines flight from Philadelphia to Miami when police say he groped the breasts and backsides of 2 female flight attendants and is seen on video punching a male flight attendant. To keep Berry constrained, the flight attendants used seatbelt extenders and tape to keep him seated and his mouth temporarily shut. Alfredo Rivera was a passenger on the flight and shot this video.
He kept screaming and cursing. In my opinion, they did a very good job.
Berry pled guilty to 3 counts of assault, in this case all misdemeanors. His lawyers asked for no jail time in a sentencing memorandum, but the judge gave Berry 60 days in prison with 1 year of supervised release. Berry also was ordered to pay a $2,500 fine and $1,500 in restitution to his victims. The maximum could have been 1.5 years in prison, with an additional year of supervised release, plus $15,000 in fines. The now 23-year-old went to Ohio Wesleyan University on a golf scholarship. Maxwell Berry must surrender to authorities by August 1st, 2022, to start his sentence in prison, a place where there are no flight attendants asking if you want cookies or peanuts.
Well, this is an interesting item to carry on the plane. Yep, that's a peacock.
I'm not kidding, this woman is wrangling her peacock into the airport. Right now, wrangling a peacock in the airport.
A woman wanted to bring it on her flight out of New Jersey as an emotional support bird. She even bought the peacock, named Dexter, its own seat. United Airlines said in a statement this animal did not meet guidelines for a number of reasons, including its weight and size. We explained this to the customer on 3 separate occasions before they arrived at the airport. The peacock and its owner ended up driving to their destination.
Call it a hair-raising experience for this adorable little boy on board a plane.
Zero indication of it at all until halfway over the Atlantic Ocean, he suddenly started itching his hair.
6-year-old Lincoln Travis was itchy because he'd picked up a pesky case of lice. They were on a Delta flight from Paris to Minneapolis when Mom Lara first noticed Lincoln scratching his scalp. His dad, Fox Sports analyst Clay Travis, says flight attendants freaked out when they caught wind of the situation.
My wife said, why is your head itching? She went over to look at him. At that point in time, flight attendants came together around and they asked my wife, does he have lice?
The Travis family had one more flight to catch to get home to Nashville. But while they were standing in line at customs, a Delta flight attendant tracked them down.
She says, we're going to conduct a medical exam of your kid here in the middle of the customs area. Hundreds of people standing around. I said, I don't want to have my kids have a medical exam. And she said, if you don't allow us to do this, you're not allowed to fly on Delta Airlines.
The airline said Lincoln had to receive lice treatment like this before he could get on another Delta plane. Clay Travis wrote about it on his website. Delta pulled my family off its planes and sparked a big debate. What sort of blank exposes an entire plane to a very contagious bug? Asked this tweet.
I understand that. The way they apply that, in theory, no one with a cold would ever be able to travel on an airplane. Certainly no one with the flu would ever be able to travel on an airplane. Both of those things are infinitely more dangerous and communicable than lice is.
We asked dermatologist Doris Day whether plane passengers could actually catch lice from each other.
Just because you're in a plane or a closed space doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get head lice from someone else who's infected. It really gets transmitted more by sharing articles of clothing or instruments like hairbrushes or combs.
Little Lincoln did get lice treatment, and the whole family is now home in Nashville. But Dad is still furious.
Do you really want an airline conducting medical exams of children?
Delta Airlines said in a statement that health and safety is their top priority, adding they're working with the family to resolve the issue.
These mountain goats found a new hill to climb, a family SUV. Video shared by Colorado Parks and Wildlife shows 2 goats seemingly having a great time exploring the vehicle. Wildlife officials say mountain goats have special hooves that help them travel up cliffs, steep slopes, and, in this case, a car.
Whoever's cat this is, I need them to come and get their pet.
Watch as an escaped cat gave a flight attendant the scare of her life as it strolled around on a Delta Airlines flight in this new video by Viral Hog. The flight attendant was clearly no fan of cats as she desperately made an in-flight announcement to the passengers asking for the owner of the cat to come collect it.
Again, whoever's cat this is, please come and wake them up if you see them with the cat carrier. I need them to come and get their pet.
One passenger attempted to catch it before a woman who is believed to be the feline's owner arrived and placed it back into the pet carrier. While the flight attendant may not be a fan of cats, she should be happy it wasn't snakes on a plane.
Don't go back here. No.
Be sure to watch Inside Edition.
Again, whoever's cat this is.
This flight attendant has had it with unruly passengers.
Shame on the passengers who have made this flight a living hell for the flight attendants.
The trouble started when the American Airlines flight to Charlotte was diverted to Raleigh, where it sat on the tarmac for 3 hours.
I will understand that the delays are frustrating.
One passenger became difficult after being told he needed to keep his mask on.
My mask is on. What do you want me to do? Okay, the first thing that I need to do is listen to me. I'm listening.
Then another passenger calls the flight attendant a drama queen.
And I worked my butt off this entire flight to be called a drama queen. We're going back to the gate.
Oh, God! He's had enough.
We've been delayed here. We've catered to you the entire flight, and we do it because we love this job.
That's right.
But the fact that we get insulted and mistreated by passengers over things that we cannot control It is disgusting.
Musician Brent Underwood recorded the incident on his phone.
They were absolutely awesome. It was a stressful situation for everybody. I cannot commend them enough for how they handled it.
Shame on the passengers who have made this flight a living hell.
This flight attendant really uptown funked it up for passengers on a flight while they waited for guests aboard the plane. A person who shared the video on Reddit wrote that it was his sister who was a breakdancer turned flight attendant. But she's not the only one working on a plane breaking out the dance moves. Here are some of our favorites.
For further information, please refer to the safety instruction card found in the seat pocket in front of you.
That's the kind of flight we would love to be on.
According to AAA, 4.5 million Americans will be flying this Thanksgiving, up 8% from last year. And a lot of those travelers can relate to this woman. She is terrified of flying, so we teamed her up with an expert to help.
This woman is terrified of flying. So is this guy. 40% of people are said to be scared to fly. Clinically, it's known as aerophobia, and symptoms can range from extreme anxiety to dizziness and nausea. 36-year-old Tiffany Schmermond is so scared to fly, she's only done it twice in her life.
Oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
That was 5 years ago.
I have a horrible headache. I am just really stressed.
Now, Tiffany is about to board another plane.
I want to get off already.
The 2-hour and 45-minute flight from Jacksonville, Florida to Dallas, Texas is terrifying for Tiffany.
I really didn't want to have the windows either.
She grabs hold of the seat and covers her eyes for most of the trip.
I wish I would just land the damn thing. The plane's shaking and it just feeling like either the plane was going to fall apart or like we were going to crash.
On landing, Tiffany meets with Captain Ron Nielsen, a former airline pilot who now helps fearful flyers overcome their anxiety with just a few simple tips.
So the first exercise is about breathing. And what this is designed to do is help control your breathing and lower your anxiety. So you get a bag, any kind of a bag, and go. So what does it do? It makes you focus on your breathing, right? Something else I do is the numbers game.
Captain Ron gives Tiffany a number and then tells her to add 3 to whatever he says.
2,
5,
6,
9.
Next up, writing with the opposite hand.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay, put this in your left hand
Oh.
and now write your name. It takes you out of your comfort zone and away from the fear.
Now it's time to board a flight back to Florida and put Captain Ron's tips to the test. First up, the paper bag.
Blow into it really hard like you're blowing up a balloon.
Next up, the numbers game.
2,
5.
And finally, writing with the opposite hand.
Wiggle your toes and write your name.
The landing was a little rough, enough to worry even an experienced passenger.
I thought we were going to crash.
But Tiffany shook off her fear. She says Captain Ron's tips were a huge help, and she can't wait to travel with her kids.
Nicely done. Don't ever forget this. Keep it up.
It's an epic airport meltdown.
If there's no flight, just say there's no flight. Say there's no flight.
A mom berates the gate agent at American Airlines, furious that her flight from LaGuardia to Miami has been delayed for 12 hours, cutting into her Disney cruise ship vacation.
Don't give me this anymore, and you're all gonna pay for my Disney cruise, and you're gonna pay for everything else here.
The mom begins walking away, but her tongue lashing is not over.
I'm getting everyone's name here because you're all.
Take their names now.
I am. I'm gonna write everything down, and I want everything.
The airport tirade took place on March 24th, but the video is only now coming to light. It was a night of really terrible weather.
I'm sorry. You lied to me. You lied to me. I'm sitting here since 8 o'clock with a 9-year-old who's waiting for her vacation, and my 13-year-old, and me.
I spoke with passenger Jade Wen, who shot the video.
Were you shocked at how angry she was?
She was very loud, so I was shocked.
The video also shows the woman's young daughter in tears, clutching a stuffed animal. She walks toward her mom and attempts to calm her down by placing a hand on her shoulder.
It's my way of getting what we want. We're waiting all our life for this. I'm waiting for this Disney's cruise for a year already.
How were the daughters doing in this
I
scenario?
think daughter was definitely mortified.
The daughter was mortified?
Yeah, mortified.
Online reaction has been swift. I've been there before, but that's not an excuse to treat the employee behind the desk like that, writes one. Patience is something that is severely lacking.
You need to take a pause, have your own course of action. I always tell people if there's a delay, immediately get on your phone, find a customer service agent, and you can even be tweeting. Airlines are very reactive right now to tweeting, and that can help you.
Other passengers joined in the revolt, and cops had to be called. The 9 p.m. flight was canceled. The passenger and her daughters were rebooked on a flight the next morning, and according to Disney, they did board the cruise ship on time.
If there's no flight, just say there's no flight.
Imagine watching airline workers spill your medication out into the trash. That's what happened to a frustrated Spirit Airlines passenger who accidentally left his carry-on bag at the check-in counter. Jim Murray has details.
This passenger is about to leave a small carry-on bag behind as he boards his flight in New Orleans. You can see it right there on the counter.
When did you realize you left it at the gate?
I realized it as soon as we were on the plane.
Keon Brooks called Spirit Airlines as soon as he landed in Los Angeles.
I spoke to a Spirit Airlines manager, and he told me your bag is not in our possession. It wasn't in our possession. You haven't left it here. And basically, he hung up on me.
But that wasn't good enough for Brooks. He says he was 100% positive that he left his bag at the counter, and he knew there had to be surveillance footage that would prove him right. But how would he obtain it?
How did you get videotape of this situation?
I put in a public information request, and I was very detailed down to the time that I arrived, the clothes that I had on.
Were you surprised that they released the videotape to you?
I was surprised.
In the video, you can see another passenger pointing out the bag. A gate agent starts going through it. And look, passengers are still boarding. Wouldn't the agents figure it was someone who had just boarded? Instead of trying to find the passenger, an agent takes the bag to another gate. Then she starts rifling through it. What happens next will shock you. She walks to the trash can and starts dramatically tossing in the contents. She appears to read a medication bottle. Then you see her pouring the pills out.
When she started pouring out my medications, that's the part that really got to me.
Another gate agent starts recording her and seems to be having such a good time, she doubles over in laughter. The rest of the bag is dumped. The agent appears to fish keys out of the trash, but then chucks them back in.
Look at the state of humanity. What are we doing to one another?
Brooks said Spirit Airlines told him they're investigating and that the gate agents have been suspended.
Spirit Airlines did not return our calls. Brooks says he will never fly Spirit ever again.
A jetliner was turned around mid-flight when this granny was labeled a threat by a flight attendant. Ellen Fleming was traveling with her husband and 2 grandchildren when she says she made a simple request that escalated out of control.
That's not right.
Ellen Fleming says she found wet garbage in the seat pocket in front of her and asked a flight attendant to throw it away. She says he immediately became angry.
He just hauled himself up to his full height and said, "I'm a flight attendant and I don't look after garbage."
Ellen says minutes later, she tried to put the garbage on a food cart.
He swiped my arm away and the garbage flew all over us and then I just, with my foot, I just kind of scraped it off away from my feet.
She says these photos show her bruise from being hit. Soon after, the pilot announced that the Air Canada flight was returning to Toronto due to an incident on board. Police took her off the plane.
Well, at one point, I told them that they're taking the wrong person off. I said it should be the flight attendant because he lied.
Passenger Helen Hollett backs up their story.
I didn't see her be a threat to anybody, and the thing is, most of the passengers on that plane didn't even know what was happening.
Here's Les Trent.
So the airline says that you exhibited aggressive behavior towards a crew member, threw garbage on a food trolley, and kicked a crew member. Is that true? Any of that?
No. When we got that letter, I sat and cried.
This dad's putting on a show at his kid's pep rally.
What I'm about to do is really dangerous.
First comes balancing a broom on his chin. What's next? A ladder. No way, he's balancing a whole table. The crowd goes wild.
She's the new Sully. Tammy Jo Schultz is the hero pilot who landed the crippled airliner after a passenger was nearly sucked out of a window. Listen to her cool as a cucumber voice as she notifies the control tower she needs to make an emergency landing.
Could you have the medical meet us there on the runway? We've got injured passengers.
Injured passengers, okay. And is your airplane physically on fire?
No, it's not on fire, but part of it's missing. They said there was a hole and someone went out.
I'm sorry, you said there was a hole and somebody went out?
After making a safe landing, Tammy Jo greeted each of the grateful passengers. Many hugged her. Nerves of steel, commented one passenger. Tammy Jo expressed words of appreciation to the control tower.
Thanks, guys, for the help.
With more and more passengers going nuts on airplanes and episodes of violence in the airways at historic levels, the TSA is conducting self-defense classes like this for flight attendants and crews. They will learn how to restrain out-of-control passengers. More than 3,200 reports of unruly passengers have been documented so far this year, including a passenger who had to be hogtied. Back in May, a Southwest Airlines flight attendant lost 2 teeth after being punched by an irate passenger who refused to wear her seatbelt. More chaos erupted over the weekend. These passengers on an American flight from Los Angeles to Miami were told to keep their hands on their heads for an hour due to a security threat.
Elbow, elbow, elbow.
At Air Hollywood, I learned more about the training flight attendants will go through from self-defense expert Jennifer Cassetta. You're a flight attendant.
Yep.
I promise you.
The first thing you want to do is secure that. Drop your chin to your chest so you have more breathing room in your trachea, right? Then you can hit down onto the joint. You can elbow into the face.
She showed me the best way to take someone down in a confined space, like an airplane.
We have elbows, boom, boom, up against the throat.
Okay.
Or if for some reason he's behind me, I can elbow down to the groin, I can elbow to the face, over and over.
Remember how sales of sweatpants exploded during the pandemic? Well, that comfy look has also impacted how people dress when traveling. But has flying the friendly skies gotten too casual?
Have you noticed something in those massive airport lines? Folks are dressing super duper casual, from footwear to those pants that look like pajama bottoms. The word locker room has been used to describe the scene at airports this summer. Passengers dressed in tank tops, gym shorts, even flip-flops, looking like they're heading to the gym. Now, of course, you want to be comfortable and you don't have to wear a suit and tie, but leave the PJs at home. This New York Times headline reads, "Crocs for days. Overly casual dressing at the airport might not be the ticket." Classic movies show the spiffy way people used to dress up.
It used to be that flying was a special occasion. Now we got Greyhound buses in the sky.
Passengers we spoke to say casual is just fine, thank you very much. This couple models their airport attire.
Oversized tee, biker shorts, and then platform Nike Air Forces.
Crocs, must have, joggers, t-shirt, that's it.
This traveler whose morning flight was delayed came prepared.
It's a good thing that I'm in comfy clothes because now I'm stuck here until at least 9, 10 o'clock tonight.
This guy says his sneakers, cargo shorts, and t-shirt serve a purpose.
Dressing up, you're going to end up having too much issues with security.
The truth is airplanes are much less comfortable than they used to be, so people are dressing for comfort.
No matter what you wear, make sure it fits with the airline's dress code.
Imagine seeing something like this flying near a commercial jetliner.
We just passed a guy in a jetpack.
An American Airlines pilot saw the stunning sight as he was about to land in Los Angeles.
Were they up there, left side or right side?
On the left side, maybe 300 yards or so, about our altitude.
Another pilot sees the same jetpack flyer.
We just saw the guy pass by us jetpack. Wisconsin. Person on a jetpack reported.
By now, every pilot approaching one of the world's busiest airports is on the lookout.
We're heard and we're definitely looking.
Some jetpacks are tethered to hoses and fly over water. But others are elaborate feats of engineering, like this fiber suit powered by 4 mini-jets. Authorities are taking the jetpack incident seriously, warning it can be as dangerous as a drone flying near passenger planes.
He put the lives of passengers on commercial aircraft in danger. He put his own life in danger.
Only in LA.
Okay, if you don't feel safe, get off the airplane.
This is your captain speaking, but never like this.
I'll stop and we'll fly the airplane. Don't worry, I'm going to let my co-pilot fly it. He's a man. Okay?
It's a total meltdown. The pilot boarded in her street clothes and addressed the passengers over the intercom. Passenger Pam O'Neill couldn't believe what was happening.
She said, let's take a vote. How many of you would like to take off now with me dressed as I am, or would you prefer that I take 10 minutes to get changed into my cute little uniform? Then she started talking about her divorce and political candidates, and the minute she mentioned that, a gentleman stood up and just yelled, "Whoa, enough, you're scaring me."
Another passenger, Randy Reese, got up to leave and gave a running commentary on social media. "I'm shaking right now." The captain demonstrated that she was not mentally in a safe space. She says, "Sorry, I'm going through a divorce." Uh-oh. The pilot also insulted a mixed-race couple on board.
Did I offend you? Okay, so did I purposely offend you? I did. The answer is yes.
The more she tried to convince everyone she was okay to fly, the more people got off.
Flight attendants, please disarm doors.
Anthony Roman is a retired pilot.
Everything went wrong on the flight. The captain clearly was in an emotional state and was having a breakdown. The right thing to do, you don't feel safe on an aircraft, is to take matters into your own hand and get up and leave that aircraft.
After 20 passengers insisted on getting off the United Airlines flight, the pilot quietly left the aircraft.
Okay, if you don't feel safe, get off the airplane.
The United Airlines flight from Austin to San Francisco was delayed about 2 hours until another pilot took over. As for the original pilot you saw there, the airline says she has been removed from her duties pending an investigation.
Here's something we haven't seen since the early days of the pandemic: a ghost flight.
It was a bit of a surreal experience.
19-year-old Kai Forsyth was the only passenger on a flight from London to Orlando, and now his TikTok video showing all those empty seats has gone viral.
They just gave me unlimited snacks, unlimited meals. I had about 6 desserts.
Fox News host Laura Ingraham is under fire today for appearing to celebrate the news that General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has tested positive for COVID.
Mark Milley, our favorite Mark Milley, tested positive for COVID yesterday. She starts clapping. Oh. She's clapping.
It happened during a segment on Ingram's show she calls Positively Boosted, where she mocks those who support vaccine mandates.
Mark Milley, our favorite Mark Milley.
Milley has been a favorite target of hers, but later on the show, she wished the 4-star general well.
We certainly hope they're all healthy and fine.
Meanwhile, ESPN's Stephen A. Smith is speaking out about his battle with COVID. He says he's lucky to be alive.
I was in a hospital New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. That's how I brought in the new year. And they told me, had I not been vaccinated, I wouldn't be here.
And he says he's still not fully recovered.
I had pneumonia in both lungs. My liver was bad, and it ravaged me. I'm still not 100% with my lungs, but I'm COVID negative.
It's a crisis. Passengers are subduing a man who they say attempted to open the emergency exit door mid-flight.
I heard someone screaming maybe 3 rows behind me. There was one guy clearly trying to open the airplane door, with the guy sitting next to him just trying to pull him off the door.
Zach Etkind is foreign correspondent for Barstool Sports. He goes by the nickname Wonton Don. He was on board the American Airlines flight from Albuquerque to Chicago. What was your sort of perception of this guy?
He was a large guy, probably like 6'3", pretty heavy. When he first tried to open the door, he was saying like, "I gotta get off this plane, get me off this plane."
Several passengers said they definitely felt a rush of air when he allegedly tried to pull the door open.
My wife said she first turned around because she heard some air, like the sound of air rushing into the plane.
Emma Ritz shot this dramatic video.
I genuinely thought I was in a movie. He got his hands on the lever, started pulling it down, and you could hear the pressure difference from him pulling the lever down, so it definitely unsealed something.
When the plane landed, Albuquerque police hauled the passenger away in handcuffs.
There's probably a lot of people out there terrified of flying, and this isn't going to make things better. This was hands down the scariest thing.
This airline passenger is the world's most widely traveled flyer.
I'm at 23,600,000.
You heard right, Tom Stuker has flown almost 24 million miles. In 1990, Stuker invested $290,000 in a lifetime pass with United. And holy moly, has he used it.
I've flown on 12,000 plus flights.
69-year-old Stuker is a car dealership consultant who travels the world on business. So here are some travel tips from the guy who knows. First, get the app for the airline you're flying with.
They give you so much information. If you're at home and the flight's delayed 2 hours, they'll text you at home so you don't come to the airport early.
Stuker also says never check a bag. And couples flying together should try this.
If I'm flying in coach, I'm going to book the window and the aisle and leave the middle seat open. That's the last thing that people will pick. So you're more and more likely to have that extra seat empty.
Good advice in these tough travel times.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.